It's a great song, isn't it? I love it when I get these ideas and I'm like, could you just make that a reality for me, please? And they do. And I will listen to love's voice. So, last week we were burning things, right? We were letting go. We were letting go of what we didn't want to take into the new year. We were burning it away. We were choosing. And this is very important in Unity teaching. We were choosing. We were activating our capacity within us to name and to claim what it is that we are standing as. And Burning Bowl is an opportunity to sort of take stock and to realign and say, no, I don't want that. I'm going to choose anew. And we have the 12 powers. People got 12 powers as a way to say, what else could you be standing as? What else could you be activating within yourself? And what we're going to do today is we're going to deepen into that part of the process. So we've made space. And now we're going to name and claim what it is that we are calling into being. What we are calling into being. And the challenge with this is because our minds love to think they know exactly what it is we need. Our personality, right, gets really caught up in thinking it knows what it is that we want for the coming year, thinking that it has it all figured out. And the invitation with Whitestone and with the letters from Divine Wisdom is that we transcend this mental personality understanding of what's possible. There's a line in the song where she says, I can't imagine what's coming next. Now, your personality probably can imagine, right? We're talking about surrendering into something that's deeper, greater, more powerful, and yes, a little bit more scary. Because the invitation is to step out into the places you don't know. To step out in a way that perhaps you never thought was yours to step out into. So the Whitestone is the naming part of it. We start by naming what it is that this coming year is going to be. And do you guys remember the story of Rumpelstiltskin? Okay, I love the story of Rumpelstiltskin because it's all about naming and claiming, right? So for those of you who don't remember, there's a princess or a farm girl, there are a gazillion versions of it, but there is a young woman who gets held prisoner by a king or by a prince, or because word is that she can transform straw into gold. And she is forced, locked in a room, to transform this straw into gold. And if she doesn't do it, she will be killed. And Rumpelstiltskin, we don't know that's his name yet, appears and says, I'll do it for you. And she gives him a necklace in exchange. And then the king is so thrilled that he got all this gold that he says, oh, you got to do it again. He gives her even more straw. And she's locked in again. Rumpelstiltskin shows up again. She gives him something else, and he says, okay, I'll do it for you. And then, of course, the king says, one more time. Threes, right? One more time. You got to do this one more time. Even more straw. You got to turn it into gold. And if you don't do it, I'm going to kill you. When Rumpelstiltskin shows up this time, he says, and if you do it, I'll marry you. I love the choice, right? Caught between a rock and a hard place. So Rumpelstiltskin shows up, and she has nothing to give Rumpelstiltskin this time. And he says, I will take your firstborn. And she says, okay. Because, otherwise she's going to be dead. So she says, okay. And it transforms into gold. And then she gets married to the king who locked her up to make the gold. Sometimes it's a prince, so it's not actually the king, it's the prince who she actually wants to be married to. And a year later, she gives birth to a child. And Rumpelstiltskin comes back and says, mine. And she says, no, no, no. And he says, I'll make a deal with you. If you can guess my name, you have 3 tries. and if you can guess my name, you can keep your baby. And she's racking her brain. She's using the mental part of her being, right? And she's coming up with like Bob and Tom, right? And he's like, no, no. And she has one chance left. And she goes out into the woods. She goes out into the stillness. Because remember, this is all a metaphor. This is all metaphysical. So she goes deep within, into the woods within her heart. She goes into that sacred still place. And what does she hear? She hears this little ditty being sung, and she hears the name Rumpelstiltskin. So the next day when Rumpelstiltskin shows up, she pretends that she doesn't know his name, and then she speaks it. And in that moment, he disappears. Because when we name something, it no longer has power over us, and we gain power over it. So the power of naming, first and foremost, is so crucial to how we understand in Unity teachings, how we manifest what it is that is our heart's desire. And I want to be really clear, it's our heart, our deep wisdom heart desire. It's not the ego's understanding of what it thinks might be next for us. And there's the challenge. There's the space. So the naming part is all about, can you truly listen? Not to what you think it's supposed to be, not for what, and I always use this as my litmus test. If whatever it is you hear is something that you think you could do, then it's not the divine wisdom speaking to you. If whatever you hear is something that makes you kind of go, whoa, I don't know how that could happen. I don't know how I could. Then you're touching that divine potential within yourself that is always seeking a greater expression than anything you can imagine. Then we move into the claiming part. So at this point, you have the name of it. Now, the name could be something, one of my names that I come back to over and over and over and over again is joy. And not just joy, but radiant joy. This is something, I even had it until somebody stole my license plates, because who doesn't want to be radiant joy? They were my license plates, right? But radiant joy is my touchstone. It's what I come back to when I'm feeling off center, when I've named myself radiant joy. And my job then is to try to live into that as fully and as powerfully as I can. Now, there have been years, this is sort of my overarching one, there have been years when it's been a quote, maybe, that is my guiding touchstone, right? One year it was, I will not be moved. Right? It can be a phrase, it can be a word, it can be the power that you got, right? It could be the power. These are powerful access points for the divinity that you are. So once you know that it is a radiant joy, that it is love, that it is life, that it is faith, that it is forgiveness, that it is gratitude, whatever it is that you hear during the meditation that we're going to do, the next step is then to claim it. To actually accept it. Accept it as yours. And so that's where the letter writing comes in. So you will write a letter as if it is from the divine wisdom that you are speaking to you a year from now. That makes sense to everybody? So you're going to write the letter as if it's from divine wisdom to you a year from now, talking about what an amazing year you had. All the things that you accomplished, that you anchored, that you stood as, that you were able to step into in a powerful way. We were in D.C. during December, and we went to the African American Museum, which if you have not gone, it is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And I've had another number of people mention my new necklace, which I got at that museum. And on the back of this tree of life is engraved this quote from Maya Angelou from her inauguration poem on the pulse of the morning. Lift your eyes upon this day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. And the reason why this resonated so deeply with me is because sometimes these letters are hard. I want to be really clear. Sometimes I have written letters to myself and I get them again the next year and I'm like, I didn't do that. I didn't step into that. I didn't do that. So part of the process is that it's a way to keep realigning yourself. It's a way to keep saying, who do I really want to be? It's a way for you to choose again. Like, okay, I didn't do that, but maybe I don't really want to do that. Right? Maybe I thought that's what I wanted to do, but maybe I really don't want to do that. Because I'm asking you to be bold. I'm asking you to be courageous. I'm asking you to not write down what you already know you're going to do and to be. I'm asking you to step off that edge into the place where you really don't know. Really don't know. And can you meet yourself there in that place? Because I know whenever I read a letter where something in there was something I hadn't done or hadn't shown up or hadn't manifested in my life, it asked me to love me even more. It asked me to be compassionate with myself even more. It asked me to stand and to discern who I wanted to be even more. So the gift, there's magic in opening that letter and being like, wow, I did all that. And there is also magic in, wow, I need to sit and get clear about who and what I want to be in this world. What do I really want? And you are allowed to change your mind. I'm going to say that. You're allowed to choose differently. So the invitation is to lift your eyes upon this day breaking for you. Really hear that. It is breaking for you. Breaking open in a new way. And be courageous enough to dream again. To really dream. To really step out in that way. I know for myself, I've had some of my dreams that didn't pan out the way I wanted them to pan out. And that can be painful. And yet, every moment, every step has led me right here. Right here. And this is amazing. Right here. Even in the midst of whatever it took for me to get here. So, I'm going to guide you through this whole process. Right? We're going to drop in to a meditative place. We're going to do, so this is the order we're going to do it in, so everyone sort of has a sense of the structure. And if you are watching from home, we have a button where you can write a letter as well. And if you want, you can just add whatever your white stone word that you hear is into that so that you can participate in that way. We're going to do a guided meditation first around the white stone. A word, a phrase, something that is the name of this year for you. And as I said, it could be the 12 powers you picked. It could be one of the 12 powers. It could be a word. It could be a spiritual practice. It could be whatever it is that you are naming this year for yourself. I remember when my wife named hers Builder. Right? Whatever it is that you hear, that is going to be what you are naming. Right? And then we're going to move into the process of actually writing the letter from the consciousness that it's already done. From the consciousness that everything you are seeking has already seeked you, has already found you, and it is already done. And then when we finish that, because it is the 100-year anniversary of Unity San Francisco, we're going to do a very short, quick meditation one more time to come up with a word that you hear that is Unity San Francisco's word this year. The word that speaks to you about this community. Right? So those are the three pieces we're going to do. Everyone got that? Okay, so we're going to start off with the white stones. So does everyone have their materials? Anybody need a can you guys start passing out the white stones? The white stones and pens are coming around. So take a stone, take a pen. Does everybody have a folder? So in your folder, there should be a piece of paper and an envelope. On the envelope, you are going to write your address. Okay, your address. If you don't know where you're going to be in a year, pick an address that it can find you at. Okay? Right? Because what will happen is these letters get placed in a box, and the prayer chaplains rotate through praying over these letters. So for the entire year, these letters are held in the prayer consciousness by the prayer chaplains. And when we get to December, we mail them back to you. So it needs to be an address that will get back to you. Jessica, can you come on up? So now that we've got some of the business out of the way, while we're doing the meditation, don't write, just listen. This whole meditation is about getting past the mental field and dropping down into that deep heart space within you, okay? And if you finish before other people finish, just hold space. Just stay in that sacred field of catching the vision of what it is that is calling you forth. What are you becoming in 2019?
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment I am love. I am love. In the stillness of this moment, I am love. I am love. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment I am love.
And so we breathe into this love. We drop down. We allow the mind to become still. Breathing and being breathed. Allowing that space, that divine wisdom that we are, to reveal itself. The love, the grace, the joy, the beauty, the harmony, the wholeness, the truth, right now, recognizing God is love, God is grace, God is wholeness. Recognizing I am grace, I am love, I am wholeness. quieting the mind. Becoming present to the divine idea that is seeking to emerge as you this year. The divine idea that is yours to inhabit, to dance with, to play with, to own, to truly own as your life. What is the texture and energy of this coming year? What does it feel like? In your heart, what does it feel like? What is arising? In all of your relationships, what is this a year of? In your career, in your job, in your expression of creativity, what does this year? What would you name it? With your community. In your finances. In your health, your well-being. What is seeking to express as your life, the texture of it, the feel of it, the color of it, the energy? What is singing through your heart for this year that is seeking to reveal itself more powerfully, more fully, more joyfully? What is the divine idea that is seeking to know itself as you? What are you calling this year? What are you naming this year? This is the year of. This is my year of. What word or phrase is speaking to you right now? Saying, name me, know me, own me, be me. Saying, I am yours and you are mine. Saying, I am your divine purpose. I am. And as we rest in the silence together and listen for what it is that we are naming, we just continue to make space to hear, to have the ears to hear. This is my year of. I am. And in your own time and in your own space, if you've heard the word, you can write it on your stone. touchstone. And just hold that word in your mind. In gratitude, in love. And if you didn't hear anything right away, don't worry, it'll come. Just breathe into it. No forcing, no pushing. It will arise from that deepest place of wisdom in its perfect time. As long as we keep listening, having ears to hear. And so just feeling into how this shows up as your life. What does this quality look like? What does this energy that you are naming look like in your coming year? What will you do? What will you become? How will you show up? What is the energy that is supporting you this year in that becoming? How are you going to activate it? Calling it into every aspect of your life. So breathe into that. The activation, the acceptance, the claiming of this word. And in your own time, you can start writing your letter from that space of wisdom. Dear, however you wish to call yourself, this is my year of. Everything that you will do, be, become, what will emerge from that awareness that it is already done. It is already done. And if you're live streaming, there is a button you can click so that you can submit your letter. Make sure you give us your mailing address and we'll mail it back to you in December. And as you begin to finish up your letter, just make sure that you seal it and place your address on the front. When the offering comes around, we'll be placing these in the offering. And again, if you're live streaming, just make sure you give us your address and we'll be sure to print it without looking at it, put it in an envelope for you, and we will mail it back to you in December. So I'm going to invite you to take your white stone in your hands. And open your heart to the word that you named for your year, whatever that is. And then I want to invite you to think about this community. To think about Unity San Francisco, to think about who we are collectively. We are collectively created by each of you. What are you naming this year for Unity San Francisco? What are we as a community seeking to become? What are we saying yes to owning this year? In this space, in this place where we come together to pray, celebrate, serve, and connect. What does it feel like as we think about Unity San Francisco in 2019? What is the energy of it? What's the feeling tone of it? What is the word? The power of our word. What is the word that is Unity San Francisco in 2019? And in your own time, just write it down on the back of the stone. So I'm going to invite you all to repeat after me, holding your letters, holding your stone. I am grateful for all the good I know is already done. I open myself fully to what is emerging as my life. I say yes to and say your word. I say yes to aligned. I say yes to all I have written and claimed. I say yes to all I am called to be and do. I am, and say your 12 power, whatever it was. I say yes to, and say whatever you wrote on your white stone. It is manifesting as my life right now. Turn to the person next to you and say, it's manifesting as your life right now. So now I want you all to get up and go introduce yourselves to each other as your power or your stone. Go tell and share who you are this year. I am life and I am aligned. And if your life's screaming, we will be with you shortly. So let's come on back. I know it's so much fun to share, isn't it? So come on back. After service, there will be lots of time to share and continue to anchor. Oh, so let's just do one final closing prayer. Right? One final closing prayer. So we just open our hearts and we say yes. We open our hearts to the good that is always seeking a greater expression as our life. We open our hearts and we accept what we are naming, what we are claiming. And we see and know it expressing perfectly and magnificently through us, to us, for us, and as us. And for Unity San Francisco. On this, our 100th year. How good that is. How grateful we are. And so it is. Happy 2019, everybody.